Hi, friends. I am so excited to be here with you guys today. How are you?
Hey, Sarnell.
Great.
Good. Well, for all you wayfinders out there, today I am talking with John and Felicia. And while they might be somewhat new faces to you, these are two people that I talk to almost every week and have since June of 2019.
Yeah.
And so this is my triad. John, Felicia, and I meet every Friday at noon, and they have provided me with the support and with the accountability that I've needed, especially during 2020, that allowed me to triple my revenue last year, which is pretty darn crazy. So I thought I'd share a little bit of the magic of our triad with you guys and let you in on kind of how we work. So John and Felicia, why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
All right.
All right. I'm Felicia Guerchon. I live in Central Oregon. And let's see, what would you like to know about me, Sarah? I work mostly with executives, and I also work with people who are going through transitions in their life. And yeah, I've also found the magic in this triad. So I'm looking forward to talking a little bit more about it.
And who do you share your home with?
Share my home with, I wonder if one of the dogs is here. There's one dog. I've got another one that looks much like that one. And I've also got a cat. I've also got a 7-year-old son who you may hear in the background. And okay, there he is. And I have a husband who's downstairs and much quieter.
You know what? This is 2020 and we are all used to hearing children in the background this year.
Except this if you do see me disappear.
Oh my God, yeah. 2021. Okay.
Yeah, no. Happy to be here. Happy to be with both of you, and happy New Year, since we haven't connected before now. So I live in the Bay Area in California. I also do leadership coaching. I do one-to-one leadership coaching, and mid-2020 started working with Keith Ferrazzi and doing team coaching with him. And I also consider myself very privileged, Sarah, to be part of your team and part of the Wayfinders team and doing coaching as part of that as well. And I share my house with 2 Australian Shepherds who hopefully you will not see or hear during the call. My wife, who is in her office, and currently our stepson, or my stepson, is home, although school actually officially started for him today. He's at UC Santa Cruz, but he'll be here for a couple more weeks before he heads back to Santa Cruz. And then, as you both know, I have another son who lives not far away. He lives up in Oakland and is working with me on the Keith Ferrazzi project.
Oh, he is?
He is, yeah.
I didn't know that. Well, I guess I'll hear more about that on Friday during That's exciting.
More to come.
So I just thought, for some people who aren't familiar kind of with the idea of small group coaching or even with small group accountability, we started our small group, what they called the triads at Hudson, as a requirement actually for the program. And I really equate it to something that's similar to what I had when I was working with my work wives, right? With the women who I saw every day at work, and we would go out and get coffee, and we were intimately familiar with what was going on with each other at work and also at home. And they were the people I turned to if I needed peer support or advice or peer mentorship. But I've really gained so much more out of this group, even though those women will forever be some of my best friends. And I think part of the reason for that is that all of you, both of you, come from different backgrounds. You have different life experiences that brought you to coaching. So prior to coaching, you had different experiences, right? Different work experiences. And then also you have, your coaching journeys have taken different turns than mine has. So you continue to have new insights and experiences that you bring into our conversations. And so I'm curious for each one of you, what you have seen the benefits of us meeting weekly. I mean, obviously, if we didn't see immense benefit out of it, we wouldn't still be doing it 18 months later. What benefits you guys have seen come out of our triad meetings?
Right. John, do you want to start? I just need to turn down a 7-year-old's voice over here, and I'll be right back, everyone.
Jump in. I think there are a few things, Sarah, now, and as you said, when we were at Hudson, we had the opportunity to be members of a couple of different triads as we were going through our certification process, and I found each one of them maybe had a special quality or something that I really appreciated. And you'll also recall, you and I were just having a conversation where you said that you were forming a dyad with Felicia, and I invited myself in to make it a triad.
I was going to leave that part out of the story.
I actually forgot that part. I have revisionist history in my mind.
But the reason I really wanted to be in a triad with both of you were some of the reasons that you already stated, that we each bring something very different to it. We also by then had multiple opportunities to see each other coach, and we have very different coaching styles. And I thought I would really benefit from having the opportunity to be able to share with each of you coaching situations that I was finding myself in, even business development situations that I was finding myself in, you know, whatever the quandary might be, and knowing that I was going to get two very different points of view. While at the same time that I know that you each bring heart to the conversations that we have. And that's not to say that you won't hold me accountable or ask me the tough questions, because you each have a unique way of doing that. But I'm very safe with you. And I know that when you are pushing me or you are asking me those hard questions, that you have my best interests in mind.
And how do you think that we cultivated that safety? Because I think that we did that pretty quickly. And I wonder, you know, especially for people who aren't coaches, what ways they might use to cultivate that type of safety in peer mentoring group or in circles at their companies.
Yeah, you know, Sarah and I think actually you had a lot to do with creating that safety right away, because you role modeled just wanting to learn as much as you possibly could. And I think that raised the bar for me. And I don't know if John, you would say the same thing, but because you were so receptive and so open with how much you wanted to be helpful to others, I think that was just that just was a really strong foundation for us. And you were also we all three of us were very committed to having these meetings and actually seeing each other. And so there was that openness and that thirst. And there was also the structure behind it that you set up and we all committed to, and kept going for quite some time. And so I think from my perspective, I knew I could count on it. I knew that I could look forward to Fridays, and that I would see your faces, which I already thoroughly enjoyed, and that I would, even if I didn't have anything burning to bring, I knew that I was going to get something out of the conversation, from, you know, just from hearing your stories and from spending the time with three really caring and focused brains and hearts coming together just to help each other. So that's part of that magic, I think, that you described. So I think it's, you know, it's part openness, it's part heart, and it's part structure. And so, you know, somebody who hasn't been through coaching before, I would encourage them to think about how they can bring each of those things themselves. What's the structure that they need to commit to in order for everybody to feel like they'll be getting their needs met? What's the best way that I can come forward and be as open and vulnerable as I can be? And how can I listen really well so that everybody else can see how my intention is only to help? And I think that can happen in any group. Sarah Nell, I think you really set us up well for it. Yeah. And by the way, the reason I wanted to be with both of you guys is because each of you has like you said, a different style and different background. And each of you has something that I didn't necessarily see in myself. And so I wanted to be exposed to it and be able to get more comfortable with it and even ask questions about it.
Yeah, and the reason that I picked both of you, John, I picked you as a friend, even if I didn't pick you to be.
She picked you before she picked me as a friend.
Well, and you didn't say no to me joining.
I didn't say no. That I really was very intentional about choosing people who I wanted to meet with was because I had different goals, I felt like, than a lot of different people at Hudson. There were a lot of people at Hudson who were internal coaches, and their life and their business development, or they were leaders in organizations, looked very different than mine was. Doing this as a career, right? Like launching my own business and serving clients as a career. And I knew that both of you were doing that as well. And so I think that commonality of all of us were taking this really seriously, as you said, Felicia, and all of us were committed, and all of us were showing up because we all were kind of chasing this same big goal of having a sustainable coaching practice. And we still are, right?
Yeah. And I think none of us knew exactly what it was going to look like, right? I would say it felt like the three of us kind of started out in the same slightly amorphous blob, and somebody would make progress on one front and we'd all go, ooh, 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 and we'd follow and say, like, what did you do? What did you learn? And then somebody else would do it and we'd all go, ooh, 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 show me. And what has resulted is we have three very different ways that this has manifested for each of us. And I think that's the beauty also of coming together with people, even if you don't know exactly what you want to get out of it. Things naturally happen when you learn from each other, and when you try new things, bring them back to the group for, discussion. Then these little paths in different directions seem to lay themselves out. There's some serendipity, I think, that ends up happening along with the hard work. The hard work creates the serendipity. I think so. I think it's pretty cool that we all three have different ways that our businesses have turned out.
Yeah, I agree with all of that. And I guess, Sarah, now I'll go back to your original question. Felicia, I think you gave a great answer to, what created that safety for us to be able to do it. Vulnerability, for sure. I think that we each were opening ourselves up, and we're willing to take that risk and openly share with each other, not just once, but continuously. I think there's also another element. Ego doesn't enter into our conversations. And that's not to say that we don't have ego in how we show up or how we behave, but it doesn't get in our way. We really are open to very candid feedback, at times of, did you think about, or maybe there is a way to do that differently, or can you revisit that? And I think the third thing that I would offer up, and I'll give Keith credit for this as he introduced the idea in his last book, but it's the idea of co-elevation. And when we work with leadership teams, it's how do they co-elevate, and that they all really view that team, that staff that they're part of, as their primary focus. And when we're together, I think we do that. We really do co-elevate, even though we each have our own business interests, other things that we're spending our time on, in some cases, things that are just totally consuming us. But when we're on our calls together, we're fully present, we're there for each other, we are actively listening, we're engaging, and we truly want to help each other. And I think it's just a very different environment.
Yeah. As you were saying that, it reminded me that over the course of this year, everyone has experienced 2020 very differently. And it has felt hard, I think, to share some of our successes publicly, because how could you possibly be doing well in a moment such as this? It almost feels like the wrong time, right? When so many are suffering so much and when so many are out of work. And one of the things that I've really appreciated is having a safe space to celebrate success, right? To be able to come and say like, yes, things are really hard right now. And yes, you know, the world is a crazy place. But yes, also all these great things are happening. And I'm like so excited and I can't go out to dinner or have a party or do any of the things I would normally do to celebrate. And to have you guys to celebrate with me has really leavened the mood of 2020.
Yeah, I agree with that. And it not just when we come together on calls, but you know, when we receive those text messages from each other, where it is just a moment to celebrate and to feel accomplished, I guess.
Yeah, and it can, you know, I never, no one has ever made me feel like I'm bragging or like my accomplishments are not welcome in this space. And I think that in so many spaces, especially for women, it can feel like you aren't able to kind of let your full light shine. And I have never felt that way with you guys. I have been able to be unabashedly proud of all things.
Yeah.
There's unconditional support here. It's unconditional. And I love the point that you made about celebrating with complete support and safety. This is a no judgment zone. It really is. And I think that's very important, getting back to, you know, other people who might form a triad of some sort. That's a really big part of it too, is the no judgment in supporting each other.
So if we were to close this out, what would be one wish that you would have for folks if they were thinking about forming a small group of support and accountability, or of maybe joining one of Wayfinder's mini masterminds, which are currently forming, which are 3 to 4 people who come together much like this, but with a coach facilitator to chase big goals together and be supported in achieving them? What one wish would you have for them?
I'll jump in. Be open to the change. And embrace maybe the possibility of change. That having those different points of view really can just be so insightful based on their backgrounds or their experiences. But that means that you have to be vulnerable, to put yourself out there, and you have to be open to accepting maybe some new ideas that aren't your own.
Yeah.
That's a great one, John. Mine, I think, is tangential to that. It's be honest with yourself about what you need, and be honest with others about what help you need. It's all for you. A group like this is all for you, and it's also all for your other 2 partners. So take advantage of it. Just squeeze literally every drop out of it that you can.
And I would say assume positive intent. You know, people sometimes say things that maybe rub you the wrong way, or maybe that you interpret differently than what they said. And always give the space to let someone know if they pinched you a little bit and say, oh, you know, that hurt my feelings. But also to know that when you're in a group like this, when people are coming from different backgrounds and they are showing up week after week, that they are doing it because they care. And so that assumption of positive intent, I think, is so important. And so I'll close with this, and you guys have heard this multiple times now, but when we first started Hudson, Tony McLean, who I just absolutely fangirl, worship, and idolize, said to us, look around this room, someone in this room is going to change your life. And I was sitting there looking around the room being like, no bleeping way. Like, that is not happening. I don't know who this woman thinks I am and what she's talking about, but that is just not possible. And a year and a half later, I can confidently and with ease say that both of you have 100% changed my life for the better. So thank you for your friendship. Thank you for your support. And I am so excited to see what the future holds for all of us.
Yeah, me too.
Oh.
Thank you. And I agree. I would say the same thing about both of you.
Ditto.
Okay, friends, until Friday, take care.
Bye.